you unless there be a last strong assault. Do not be afraid, be brave. Your enemy is jealous because you love your mother prioress very much. Love her much more. Wash her feet, kiss them, then drink the water. Give this message to your mother. Love her very much, but tell nothing to others. Tara Singh's first conversation with the lady lasted about 25 minutes, and the lady disappeared 5 minutes before the Angelus bells were rung at 6 in the evening. After supper, the postulant told the prioress all that had earlier transpired and relayed the lady's startling request. In her own words, the prioress recounts that she was dubious since she wasn't sure about the lady's identity and would not allow the postulant to wash her feet, much less kiss them and drink the water afterwards. But when Tara Singh returned to her cell, she found the lady waiting for her with another message and a sign for the prioress. The next day, Mother Cecilia informed the auxiliary bishop about the new developments and sought his advice regarding the strange request. Bishop Oviar cautioned her to be prudent and suggested that she find out who the lady was. At noon of the same day, Tara Singh hurried to the prioress, saying that the lady had reappeared and requested that the deed take place by 3 o'clock that afternoon, for such acts would be for the salvation of two souls, that of the prioress and her own. With this message, the lady sent on Tara Singh's person a sign.
So when she saw it, she humbly said, "All right then," said, "get a basin, get a basin and water and let us do it," she said. So I did it, no? And while doing it, I was looking at her, Mother Cecilia, and she was blushing, no? Talagang nahihiya siguro, no? Because at that time, we were still barefooted. Not like these days, na meron ng sandals, no? That time, we were really barefooted. But when we go out to the garden, we have our wooden shoes. And so, after that, I took the water, no, And natural, from the human point of view, well, if you think of the sacrifice naman and the order, the order that was given to me, well, it makes it lighter. But sometimes the human side dominates the spiritual side. And so I felt I was going to throw it out, but I prayed to Our Lady. I said, "Naku, wag naman ngayon, no? Just let me eat first, so para Mother Cecilia will not be too embarrassed naman, no?" So after eating, after our prayers, we were going to have recreation, and before I went to the recreation room, I went to the CR, and then I threw it all out.
Father Pablo Fernandez, a Dominican with some experience in dealing with spiritual theology and mysticism, comments on this.
Well, it is repulsive to our human judgment, but it was a proof of obedience on the part of our Blessed Lady. So I see nothing repulsive or nothing wrong with it.
It is interesting to note that in 1858, the Immaculate Conception had to ask Bernadette Soubirous of Lourdes 3 times to drink from the mud and eat weeds, a task which this future saint could accomplish only on her 3rd attempt. This act scandalized and prompted witnesses to say that Bernadette had gone mad, an accusation that would also be hurled against Tara Singh. And it is a little-known fact that in Lourdes to this day, many of those who assist in the immersion of the sick and the faithful will, at the end of the day, drink from the murky waters of the baths as a sign of humility and faith. That evening, a nun entered Tara Singh's cell, but when she spoke, her voice was that of the lady. "Your mother made a wise decision in obeying me. Now that you have given me proof of your humility and your mother of her simplicity, I can now proceed. Both of you will always remain under my mantle." After Mass on the following day, Tara Singh witnessed for the first time the phenomenon which was soon to draw thousands to Lipa.
I was in our cell and fixing our bed in the morning, no? Then I heard parang yung bang flapping of the wings. No? Dahil di na pay any attention, I was arranging my bed. That was after Mass. And then, I looked up because I knew there was something falling. No? So I looked up and I saw petals. Sabi ko, wala namang butas to. I said, bakit kaya? Ano kaya? I was really surprised, no?
The petals formed a cross when they reached the floor, and so she called the prioress.
And I told her the story. And then, what happened with the petals? She took the petals. But I don't know what happened after that.
2 days later, a little after midnight on the feast of the Immaculate Heart of Mary, Teresing's last physical battle with the enemy began. She woke up and felt unseen hands trying to strip her of her clothes. She struggled, broke free, and fled to the stairway leading to the prioress's cell.
I felt that somebody grabbed my hands, but I couldn't see anybody. And I said, natatalo na ako. I was holding on to the rails, no? Trying to fight for myself, really. I wanted to go up. Fortunately, Mother Cecilia was out of her office. She saw me, so she went to me and tried to help me. And afterwards, she told me that parang somebody's also pulling me downstairs, no, whereas Mother Cecilia was pulling me upstairs, no. So I thought I would really, my body would really be in halves already. Yeah.
The prioress reports that at one point in the struggle, Teresing was heard to scream, "I have no eyes to see your indecencies." She thought that she had been completely stripped of her clothing, which made her feel utterly weak and defenseless. When the struggle ceased at the ringing of the community bell at 4:45 a.m., Mother Cecilia discovered Teresing had become mysteriously blind. It is significant that the lady had asked Teresing to love the prioress much more, for the postulant had earlier declared to the adversary that in loving Mother Cecilia, she loved her Lord Jesus Christ. In this light, the lady's rather perplexing request for Teresing to drink the water that had been used to wash the prioress's feet can now be seen not only as a request for humility or obedience, but as a way to frustrate the adversary. Compliance with the lady's request seemed to bear almost immediate fruit, for it should be stressed that the first petal shower occurred the very next morning, barely 14 hours afterwards. Like a pebble thrown into a pool, could this simple act of human collaboration have set in motion a series of events, the scope of which we can only guess at, of which the petal showers were merely an external sign? Teresing's loss of sight signified the start of her periodic bouts with physical affliction, for she had accepted the lady's request to sacrifice for the conversion and salvation of others. She has disclosed that the lady would often thank her and reveal the identity of the priest or nun she was asked to suffer for. Mother Cecilia seemed to anticipate Teresing's needs with such astonishing foresight that the girl suspected that she had been in contact with the lady. The postulant was not aware that the events had entered another phase, for the prioress began to receive interior locutions. Mother Cecilia revealed in her account that a mysterious voice told her in advance of the blindness and suffering, and would give her specific dates and times when she had to stay by the postulant's side. The voice also told her that the girl's sight would be restored on the 7th of September, but all this she did not reveal to Teresing. As all but the extern sisters wore black veils when they walked around, the nuns at Carmel knew nothing of what was happening to Teresing, and in the Carmelite spirit of death, could not inquire or comment on the unusual behavior of the prioress and postulant. But one of them, perhaps in a fit of curiosity, stole a look at the postulant's eyes.
Sister Alphonse, when she lifted the veil, all she could see was white, the white of the eye.
A clinical psychologist, Dr. Maria Dolores de Leon, a member of a commission that investigates paranormal phenomena for the Church, is interested in this case and on her own initiative has interviewed several witnesses, including Sister Alphonse, who passed away in 1990. Dr. de Leon states that Teresing's eyes had probably rolled up.
As a matter of fact, when we put people under hypnosis and when they are in real deep trance, this also goes up. The eyeballs go up. See? So when you, sometimes when the eyes are physically bigger than usual, they cannot even close the eyes all the way. And so you will only see the white peeping out, no black. So this is actually possible.
To the idea that Teresing's blindness may have been self-induced, Dr. de Leon points out that this affliction occurred 2 more times.
She had no reason to induce this. This occurred after the devil had stopped coming.
Teresing began to suffer from the thought that her blindness could result in her rejection from Carmel, whose cloister she had embraced despite opposition from her family and the oppression of diabolical forces. Ugly talk had also begun to circulate among the nuns that a lesbian relationship was developing between the prioress and the postulant.
I was not allowed to go around because I couldn't see anything. If I go to the chapel, Mother Cecilia would bring me to the chapel, would lead me.
Dr. de Leon has subjected Teresing to some tests to determine if the visionary had any abnormal sexual tendencies.
So in the test that I gave, it did not even show that she had strong masculine tendencies or strong feminine tendencies. It was very average.
Teresing's affliction gave her the confidence to beg the lady for just one initial of her name, a request that was answered with the letters BVM. On the 30th of August, the prioress was present when the postulant asked if she could kiss the lady's foot.
Ako din na-touch ko, very soft. Para bang I felt parang yung mo reverential no? Na parang ako, Diyos ko, sabi ko, hindi ko yata makahalikan nito. I was telling to myself. But then, I kissed, no? But so carefully ba na I think I really just I kissed the nail perhaps, no? And it was mabango, ha? And parang the impression that I had, even though I was blind, no? Para bang, when I did like that, ang malambot, yung bang parang malambot, parang silk, something like that, no? And then, I was about to kiss the other foot, no? Pero hindi ko tinuloy. Because I said to myself, one is really more than enough for me.
On September 7th, Teresing regained her sight. The portress had ushered Bishop Oviar into the parlor where the prioress and postulant were waiting.
Our bishop was there, and her eyes was towards that place. Ganoon, parang ganoon. And really, her eyes different. Hindi katulad natin, yung very clear, no? But there was something really different. I was sure that she was really blind.
Suddenly, I felt someone made a sign of the cross here on both my eyes. And soon after that, then I recovered my sight, and I was so happy. I was jumping up and down, no? At least I said, I can still pala see. That was really very, very happy, no? And Monsignor Roberto was very happy, and she said, now you must be in peace now, she said. And so, just as when I went blind so suddenly, no? When I recovered my sight, it was also as sudden as that.
Only much later did Teresing learn that the prioress had been prompted by interior locutions to kiss her eyes in order to restore her sight. If the preceding account seems bizarre or medieval, one must remember what the trend of past apparitions has shown us, that the Virgin manifests herself in a way that she will best be received. In this case, the visionary is a religious, and therefore one should not be surprised to find the apparitions woven into the context of religious life. specifically the Carmelite spirituality, whose dynamics may be totally foreign and unintelligible to the ordinary person. In the early 1940s, there were other accounts of those of the religious orders who were the recipients of messages and apparitions of the Virgin. Two contemplative nuns, one in the United States, Sister Mildred Mary of Ohio, and the other in Hungary, Sister Maria Natalia, both received new titles of devotion to the Blessed Virgin. Both also had mystical experiences. Sister Mildred Mary had initially been advised to be cautious lest she suffer from an overactive imagination. But in the end, the Archbishop, who was her spiritual director, ordered a medal struck and the first and second printing of the messages of Our Lady of America. On the other hand, Sister Maria Natalia's apparitions dealt with the chastisement of the Church and the earth, and of the triumph of Mary as victorious Queen of the world. It is reported that these messages were particularly instrumental in convincing church officials to designate a feast day in honor of the queenship of Mary. What is interesting is that many of the messages she received in war-torn Hungary from 1942 to 1945 were to be re-echoed in 1948 in the little archipelago of the Philippines. It is apparent to those who studied the events at Lipa that there are several stages of development. The first involves Teresing alone, her alleged encounters with the devil and the lady in her cell. A secondary phase is introduced when the prioress claims to receive interior locutions. Then follows what might be called the formal phase, where the lady's manifestations begin to bear semblance to other apparitions, such as at Lourdes and Fatima. It is striking that all those who have seen the lady, such as Catherine Labouré, Alphonse Ratisbonne, Bernadette Soubirous, the children at La Salette, at Fatima, Poma, Beaurang, and Banot, have all emphasized how overwhelmed they were by the tenderness that radiated from her as she opened her arms in welcome. This same gesture would also enthrall the visionary of Lipa. At around 5 in the afternoon of September 12th, while saying the rosary in the garden, Teresing stopped in wonder in front of a vine which shook violently, although there was no wind. Suddenly she heard her lady's voice telling her not to fear, to kiss the earth, to obey everything she was told, and to return to the spot for 15 consecutive days, rain or shine. The next day, with the prioress's permission, she returned to the garden and after a few minutes in prayer, saw the vine move. The lady appeared on a cloud, dressed in white, hands clasped over her breast and a golden rosary hanging from her right hand. Teresing was so struck by her majesty that she tried once more to elicit an explicit response from the lady as to her identity.
I asked her, beautiful lady, I said, who are you? She just answered me, I am your mother, and I am the mother of my son Jesus.
In this apparition and in the others to follow, Mary's messages would continue to focus on priests and nuns, and she would stress the necessity of prayer and penance for them. She explained that for many, pride was the obstacle that barred them from returning to the true fold, and that shame had hardened some hearts. Pray for them as you have never prayed before. The Sacred Heart of my Son bleeds anew for every fallen priest or nun. This concern for the religious has surfaced as a dominant theme of many apparitions in other parts of the world. The third part of The Secret of Fatima is supposed to focus on this. So too have subsequent apparitions, such as those of Garabandal, Medjugorje, Akita, Naju Korea, and so on. On September 14th, Teresing found Mary waiting, her arms outstretched.
She looks at you like a mother, no? like a mother whose love is beyond, I don't know, I cannot explain. Parang every time she looks at me and every time I see her, she would like to embrace you, to make you feel that you are loved, to make you feel that she's always there to help each one of us, not only I, but each one of us. And it makes us also feel the need to pray more, to spend more on prayers.
The Virgin then asked that the place be blessed the following day in the presence of the community, a request Teresing promptly relayed to the prioress, who received confirmation of this from another interior locution. So the necessary arrangements were made. The blessing took place at 3:20 the next afternoon, the 15th of September, with Bishop Obiar presiding and the community of Carmel in attendance. During the proceeding, Mary appeared to Teresing, arms again extended, as if to embrace everyone present. This was the first time members of the community would see the visionary in ecstasy.
Talagang sa ayos niya, kita mo na may kausap sa vine doon sa itaas.
She was there in front of the community. Yeah, in front of the altar. And I saw her kneeling there, looking only in one position like that. Her eyes were really focused on one place, looking like that.
During the ecstasy, ibang-iba ang mukha, very heavenly ang face niya.
Teresing relates that the lady had told her to kiss the ground and eat the grass, a request similar to that made to Bernadette at Lourdes.
And she bent her head until the ground, and I don't know if she kissed or what.
Siguro, sinabi sa kanyang Blessed Virgin, kumuha ng lupa at kumain. Kumain naman siya. Pagkatapos, nakita mo, nilunok niya gano'n. Nilabit ang dila, di wala na, nakain na niya. Tapos yung grass, kumuha din siya, kinain niya. I don't know how it tastes because when I am there, my attention is not on what I'm doing, but on the person who was actually speaking to me.
On that afternoon, the community also witnessed for the first time the phenomenon of the petals. Although the community had in their garden a few pots of small roses, these were nowhere near the quality or quantity seen in the showers.
When I stood up, there were petals.
During the Mass, I was surprised because there were petals in front of us. On this side, there were rose pots with flowers, rose petals, and also on this side. But we were wondering, nobody's moving in our place. We just saw the petals in front of us.
Doon sa Blesa ng Monsignor, marami.
According to Teresing, this shower was the sign that then still skeptical Monsignor Oviar had been praying for. The prioress then related Mary's message for the community. The Virgin asked them to believe and to keep the apparitions a secret until she advised otherwise. Then, as if prefiguring events to come, she stressed that they should love each other as true sisters, love and obey the Mother Prioress, and not envy Teresing, for she suffered greatly. She asked them to gather the petals, make the spot sacred, venerate the grounds, and giving her maternal blessing, requested that the monastery be known as Our Lady's Carmel. Teresing returned at 5 o'clock the same afternoon and again found the lady waiting for her. I asked this from Carmel. I wish that my image be placed here. This place must be cleaned so that it may become a shrine for prayer. On the 16th of September, Teresing saw Her Lady descend from above, accompanied by little angels.
Mukha lang ang nakikita ko. Maliliit. Then the angels beside her, as she came down, nawawala isa-isa.
But as Our Lady reached the vine, Teresing observed that there was a look of sadness on Mary's face. This was to be the beginning of a series of messages directed towards two unbelieving nuns. Little one, 2 of my daughters refuse to believe me. They dislike you also. Pray for them, and let no bitterness find place in your heart." Then the lady went on to request that her image be struck. "I want a statue of myself to be made so that my little ones can see me. Describe me to your chaplain, because I wish my statue to look as you see me, and to be as large as that of Our Lady of Lourdes, which stands inside the cloister." Months later, this statue would become the object of public scrutiny and veneration, and there would be reports of all sorts of unusual occurrences and supposedly miraculous events connected with this image. This request for a statue parallels that of the one given at Rue de Bac, the fulfillment of which was to become Saint Catherine Labourè's lifelong burden. From the 17th to the 26th, the Virgin conversed at length with Teresing, giving her many messages, some of them for her own spiritual growth, others for the community and the outside world.
The emphasis or the stress, no, was on humility, simplicity, penance, prayers. What most needed is praying the rosary, but praying with devotion, not mechanical, no? Meditating while praying the rosary, which very few understand.
Mary also requested that she be honored on Saturday and entrusted Teresing with several secrets.
Yes, there was.